Hi, this is my Chinese shoe patching machine, and these are a couple of the things you might want to do when you get yours. First thing is your bobbin winder. You're going to want to change the location from here, which is stock. The stock location, you want to swing the bobbin out and have it sit against the flywheel and wind bobbins that way. It takes forever, it's fiddly, nobody likes it. So what I did is I took, again, the whole assembly here and put it through a hole on our thread tensioner thing. What that lets you do is mount your bobbin winder after your tensioners. So you actually have tension on this bobbin while you're spooling it, and look at how nice that comes out. That just takes seconds because the bottom of this sucker is Phillips, which means you can put a drill in here, and some of this is unwound right now, so it doesn't look, pretty like you would want it to look. But you can just get a drill under there and go to town, more or less. I'm not gonna do it because it's gonna wind that thread, but which I don't want to do. But this makes it so easy. The other thing is there's enough play in this system that you can actually rock this back and forth in order to get it to spool evenly. Okay, again, this just takes a second once you get it on there. So I'd recommend putting that up there. The electrical tape here actually isn't doing anything except for keeping the thread from getting caught behind the screw that actually holds this on there. Okay, so sometimes it'll get caught back there, so I put a piece of electrical tape. It's never been a problem since. Okay, so that's the first thing. Change where your bobbin winder location is. Aside from putting a handle that you actually like using on there, you'll notice mine is a roller skate wheel. The other thing that I'd recommend doing is putting a counterbalancer on your flywheel. It's very helpful to have your machine kind of want to default to at least a neutral position, if not just a needle up position. Okay, you'll notice this weight makes this flywheel want to sit down, which brings the needle up. And what that means is that if you take your hands off this thing, the needle flies up and you can remove the workpiece, right? So if you just default, you can take the piece out. So much easier, okay? So weight your flywheel. Again, this is not complicated. There's a bunch of magnets back here holding some sockets on there just to use as weight, okay? So yeah, that's number 2. Number 3, put some magnets on here just to hold stuff that you might commonly need. The whole machine is just a hunk of metal, so you might as well exploit that. And yeah, it gets dirty, even though I did go through and clean this whole thing. It will get super dirty. Yeah, having a threader on here, having a little ruler, again, magnets, really helpful. Another helpful thing is to put a wire thing up here to help your thread unspool in a nice way. The cardboard is just here. It doesn't always work, but the cardboard is actually here so that when this unspools, it's less likely to get caught under the spool. Yeah, so that's all that does. Yeah, those are just a few of the things that I did to mine. You will also want to change out the mount. So I just made mine out of a couple of 2x4s and a nice piece of plywood, and I can just clamp this right to my bench, and then when I'm not using it, I just put it right up there with my other stuff. So yeah, super helpful machine. Total pain in the ass. You'll have to learn how to do things like timing and yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. Oh, this socket, very helpful if you're gonna put sockets here. It's awesome because you can actually adjust your thread tension with this socket, or your timing. Actually, that's a separate one. That's a 10. Anyway. Oh, one last thing that you might want to do, and this isn't necessary for everybody, but your needle holder, this little clamp on here, if you take this clamp off and you remove the needle bar, okay, so that's the assembly that runs through the whole thing. If you remove your needle bar, you might want to grab a Dremel and ream it out because it's actually flat on this back surface, and that means that you can only use home sewing machine needles since there's a flat part in here. So you can take a Dremel, ream that out, make it round so that you can use commercial sewing machine needles, which are significantly beefier and can be had for significantly less money. So anyway, just a few tips.